Hello, and thank you for listening to my presentation. I'm Clara Planchet, a PhD student at the Geode Laboratory in Toulouse, and today I will present you part of my PhD work, which aims to produce spatially explicit pollen-based land cover maps and to study the associated change in floristic diversity within the Bassiers Valley in the French Pyrenees. My PhD topic is integrated into the current need to better understand the relationships between human activities, landscape, and biodiversity in mountains. And in European mountain, the main change in human activity has been the abandonment, particularly since the 1950s. Following this abandonment, we can observe a forest extension in most of European mountains, and it's particularly the case in the Pyrenees Mountains, which are categorized as a hotspot of land cover change with a forest extent. So in this topic of relationship between human activities and environment, the Bassiers Valley, located in the Ariège department in the Pyrenees, is particularly interesting because it's very typical of this abandonment scenario. This valley has been influenced by different kinds of human activities since the Neolithic, starting from pastoralism to metallurgical industry. With the abandonment of pastoral activity, which is the main activity in Bassiers Valley, we can observe a development of conifers, particularly Pinus uncinata, which move up the slopes where the pastoral load is no longer as strong as it was in the past. So this Bassiers Valley has been studied for more than 10 years by a lot of researchers from the Human Environment Observatory of Pyrénées Ovid-de-Sceaux. Several studies have already shown the apparent link between pastoral activities and biodiversity. And these figures come from a study of the pollen sequence in Orid-de-Théo peat bog within the Bassiers Valley. It shows the changes in numbers of sheep in the region in blue, and an estimate of the floristic richness based on pollen data in orange. So this study indeed shows the relationship with the abandonment of pastoralism resulting in a decrease in floristic richness over time. But what we can observe at the region level is not necessarily the reality at the Bassiers Valley scale. Actually, we know that the grazing pressure within the valley is not evenly distributed, depending on the accessibility of the area or the presence of water points. So even if we know that overall the intensity of grazing in the valley has decreased significantly over the last 200 years, this traditional activity was indeed characterized by a great spatial variability within the Bassiers Valley, with several pastoral sectors, all having their own management and different pastoral intensity over time. Therefore, it's very likely that the process of abandonment and its impact on biodiversity has not been homogeneous within the valley either. Thus, if we want to understand how this traditional practice has shaped mountain today's biodiversity, we need more studies integrating their small-scale complexity over time. In my doctoral research, I'm interested in the relationship between pastoral activity, landscapes, and biodiversity in Bassiers Valley by trying to answer these following questions. So what changes in land cover have taken place in Bassiers over the last 200 years characterized by the abandonment of pastoralism? And have these changes in vegetation composition and configuration influenced the viability of the current floristic diversity in Bassiers? As pollen data are the main source of information on past vegetation beyond the historical archive, this research work was accompanied by a methodological challenge to reconstruct these past landscapes based on pollen data. In my PhD work, we will approach the landscape by three components: its composition, so what plants are present and what are their proportions, the distribution in space, and how they are combined together to create different types of land cover. So these three components will be estimated thanks to the development of the spatialization method. And then the biodiversity part will be based on a recent botanical survey in order to study the legacy effect of land cover changes on today's species and functional floristic diversity patterns. But today I will give you a broad presentation of the methods and some results and the future direction. So I used 8 small different sedimentary sites. So 7 of them are located in Bassiès Valley and 1 of them in a small neighboring watershed. But today I'm more going to talk about the 7 in Bassiès. So it's all small sites located above the tree line. And for each site, I have pollen data. Pollen data have been grouped into time windows of 20 years between 1800 and 1940, and in time windows of 10 years between 1940 and 2010. So it's a total of 14 time windows covering the last 200 years. I also used land cover maps. Here, the first 2 land cover maps are based on photo interpretation from color aerial images, while the other one are based on black and white images, explaining the differences in nomenclature between the 2 types of maps. The first 2 ones are the one I use for the training dataset for the spatialization method. So the classification is the one you will see on the estimated pollen-based land cover maps. And the other one are only used for a model data comparison to evaluate the accuracy of vegetation composition estimates. So the first 2 maps, which are of interest for us, represent 9 land cover types, three types of forest in different colors of green, 3 types of heathland in purple, the peat bogs, and 2 types of grasslands in yellow and orange. So the spatialization method is divided into 3 main parts. The first one consists in applying the landscape reconstruction algorithm, the LRA, which corrects for the pollen data for different biases in differential production and dispersion of pollen grains. So the algorithm converts pollen percentages into plant percentages in the vegetation within a radius also defined by the algorithm. In our case, this is a radius of 1 kilometer around each site. So at the end of this step, we obtain for each of the 14 time window the proportion of 20 dominant taxa within a radius of 1 kilometer around each study site, but without knowing their location. So the spatialization method was developed to produce continuous land cover maps from this point LRA estimates. So this is both a probabilistic and statistical method that I'm not going to present today, but if you are interested, please do not hesitate to ask questions. And by comparing the estimated land cover map with the one observed during the same period, we can estimate the accuracy of the method. And finally, the spatialization method is applied to the LRA estimate of the 14 time windows to produce a land cover atlas covering the last 200 years. So I will give you first the results of the LRA application. So to simplify the representation, we have grouped the 20 LRA taxa into 4 land cover classes. In yellow, the grasslands, in purple, the heathland, and in green, conifers and forest. In the middle, you have the proportion of these land cover classes extracted from the land cover maps for the Fouzès site and for the most recent time window. We can see that it's a very open environment dominated by grassland and heath. The pollen percentages on the left greatly overestimate the proportions of tree-covered taxa, which is largely corrected by the LRA algorithm on the right. So the LRA algorithm gives a more accurate representation of the vegetation composition. And the application of the LRA algorithm over all the time window reveals significant differences between sites, even if we are in a very small study area, approximately of 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers. We can see 2 types of sites. In red, the sites that are really variable over time, and in blue, the rather stable trajectories. So, but even within these 2 groups, we can see important differences. Some sites are dominated by grassland, some other are dominated by heathland, for example. Some sites show a decrease in grassland proportions, but some other don't. So this is a really variable situation within the valley. To compare the past vegetation composition with the current one, and to study the establishment of modern vegetation in the valley, we calculated the past and present dissimilarity index for each kind of dataset. The LRA estimates in black, the observation based on land cover maps in gray, and the pollen percentages in orange. and the box plot represents the distributions of this PPD at each time window. First, we can say that the median LRA PPD are always higher than the median pollen PPD or MAPS PPD, so they reflect larger differences between past and present vegetation. For the maps, the only change we can see corresponds to the change between the two kinds of maps. So it's more an artifact due to the change in nomenclature than an actual change in vegetation composition. We can say that the LRA also have a greater variability in time, as represented by the blue line, but also in space with the red line, as the interquartile range represents the variability between sites. We can see different periods in the establishment of the present vegetation at Bassiès. Firstly, we can see a general decrease in the median and interquartile range until the 1890s. So all the sites are therefore approaching their modern composition. Then we have a period for which the median is more or less stable and associated with the larger interquartile ranges. So while some sites diverge from their modern composition, other remains rather stable or get closer to it. And this period ends with a rise in the median and a decrease in the interquartile range in the 1950s. So at this point, all the sites diverge from their current composition. And then the last period is characterized by a low median and a progressive decrease of the interquartile range. So it's a moment where the composition of all the sites are getting closer to their current composition. So these LRA results are particularly interesting because by being more accurate and more variable in space and time, the LRA estimates have a good potential for small-scale spatialization of past vegetation composition. I'm now going to show you some results of this spatialization method application. So first, this is a GIF representing the estimated pollen-based land cover maps and for the 200 years. We can see first the disappearance of grassland in the west and the south, then the return of less advanced colonization stages in the north, and the total disappearance of grassland together with the conifer expansion in the north of Thick Rio. These maps reveal that it's possible to reconstruct past land cover changes with a high spatial resolution based on LRA estimates. And while several methods of spatialization already exist for large-scale reconstruction, this development represents a first attempt to spatialize LRA estimates at the local scale of a mountain landscape, without using simulation, kriging, or multiple scenario approach. So the vegetation composition at the study zone scale, extracted from the maps, reveals an important decline of grassland proportions, with a loss of more than 50% of grassland proportions. We also see a fluctuation, but an increase in the proportion of heathlands, and a slight increase in the proportions of tree-covered classes. So we know that we lose a lot of grasslands, but where are these changes? And by comparing the estimated maps for two successive time windows, we can produce this kind of comparison map. So the more the map is blue, the more the change is important. So this map makes it possible to locate the areas subject to land cover changes over time, but also to know the extent of these changes. So big changes are recorded in the west part of the study zone first, and from the beginning of the 20th century, smaller changes more or less everywhere. Now we know what are the changes and where they are located. And thanks to the land cover maps, we can also estimate landscape spatial features. For example, here, the calculation of land cover heterogeneity over the 20th century. So we can see that during this period, the heterogeneity of the land cover has fluctuated between the different time windows, but also within the study area. So thanks to the spatialization of pollen data, we obtained a pollen-based land cover atlas covering the last 200 years and allowing us to study changes in the composition and spatial configuration of land cover in the valley. Then these changes in land cover can be linked with the pastoral data, taking into account their small-scale variability. And the last part will be to link these land cover changes to floristic diversity to assess the legacy effect of land cover changes on today's biodiversity pattern in Bassiès. So altogether, this will make it possible to better understand the interaction between pastoral activity, landscape features, and biodiversity in a mountain context. And this method is also intended to be ultimately applicable in other contexts, offering new perspective for studies of landscape changes and their impact on biodiversity. And finally, thanks to this method of pollen data spatialization, we have the possibility to access a high spatial resolution in the past, which has good potential to stimulate interaction between paleoecologists and ecologists. And thank you for your attention.